Got gold and silver up right now, Bitcoin flat, but there's a lot of exciting news about central banks holding Bitcoin. And of course, Arthur Hayes' prediction on the guaranteed print by the Fed real soon. Let's talk about this. All right, so I want to take a minute, share some thoughts in reference to just market activity this morning. And so gold and silver doing absolutely wonderful right now. Bitcoin a little bit above 120 and flat, but then again, there's so much momentum that's being built up from the narrative of just basically waiting patiently while governments position everything from a regulatory framework here. So I got a couple headlines and a couple things worth sharing with you guys that I think are going to be very somewhat beneficial for those that speculate in the space and have a position in certain projects just because at this current moment, everything is on track. The government shut down now. So when they come back into agreement on how much more they need to borrow and spend, that means more currency creation. That means more flooding the world with digital dollars, as well as other central banks around the world that's experiencing the same type of pressures because they're all in the same boat. You know, we're witnessing the great unraveling of the fiat debt Ponzi scheme and the introduction of the digital transition into crypto assets as well as tokenized assets, all going to be funneled through the stablecoin narrative for some nations and also CBDCs for others. So once again, like we have a window of time between today and the time they are finished basically flooding the world with currency to position ourselves so that we can be recipients of this increased asset price appreciation, which will allow you to have more potential purchasing power to get into real tangible things in the meantime. So going to go through some market activity here, share my 2 cents on some things. And as always, if you find value in these things, I want to encourage you to make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. Make sure you take this, share it if you find value here so more people can get plugged in on just some market activity in the morning. So going to try to do this more often just to be able to connect with the community a little bit. So let's get right into the activity we have in gold and silver. So on the screen here, as you see, let me refresh my screen so you can see what I see. So as of right now, $48.88 and then $4,000.29 for an ounce of gold. Astronomically high prices. But then again, for those that are awake and aware and have positioned themselves, you're not too bad, I'm sure. All right, let's get a look at the crypto market and just thumb through a couple tokens here to see what's popping, where is the opportunities perhaps. And so as of right now, it looks like Bitcoin, as I mentioned, is somewhat flat. So literally just in the last hours flat. In the last day, relatively between at 124 to 122 now. Over the last week, it has trended up from 116, peaked at 125 and an all-time new high. And of course, consolidated a little bit because you do have people out there sitting on large bags that play the trading game. They get in, they get out, and they take profit when they can. And so here, same thing. And it's no coincidence that all these projects are following the same trend. Relative high, stagnation a little bit. But long term, over the last week, we went from 4,300 to 4,700. So that $400 price increase there. And then, of course, we got a consolidation, people getting out and dumping. So real quick here, let's just refresh this and see what tokens happen to be doing well. So we have Chain Opera AI, Chain Opera AI. And so I'm assuming this is a meme coin mimicking Open AI. And so literally it's only been out for a week. And in the last week, it came out at 23 cents and it got up to $4.35. And I'd imagine this is a proxy off of OpenAI because you just put Chain Opera and AI in the same category and it makes it sound like it's something you can't miss out on. And of course, Zcash is another project that has been doing extremely well. Been getting a lot of momentum from the privacy space. Just those who realized where we're heading. We're literally being transitioned to a surveillance state entirely. And so the idea of getting a hold of a private coin ahead of time is not a bad idea. So literally a week ago, it was $90. Then it got up to 171 off a lot of bullish momentum from people being excited. A lot of activity on X when it came to Zcash. And then, of course, now it's starting to cool off a little bit. But over the last month, to have gone from $47 to 171, for those that knew this was coming or anticipated this, had a position, I'm sure you're not too mad. And all in all, over the last year, from $28 to 166, top to bottom, not a bad way to have been positioned. And then we got Pudgy Penguins. And so once again, this is a month-old project and came out at 3 cents, got up to almost 4 cents, and it's cooled off a little bit there. So these are just some last minute memes. So literally, Pi Network is up a little bit, but nothing overall that's really worth paying attention to in this space here. But one thing is for sure, gold and silver. That, my friends, is something to not be without because we're in the midst of a reset, 100%. So let me just share some things with you that caught my attention that lets us know that eventually gold and silver has to go higher, but then also Bitcoin and all the other digital assets will follow as well. So here we got Exodus Pyramid, and this is more so how the legacy TradFi system is literally being disrupted because of the gold and silver scarcity model and window. So literally, as you can see here, this is John Exodus Pyramid, a former central banker, aka Federal Reserve banker from 60 years ago, who came up with this model of literally everything that has been created in the form of a product is at the very top of the pyramid. So as I zoom in here, give you a better perspective, you can see what I see here. So for those who may not be familiar with this is John Exodus Pyramid to basically talk about the greatest risk up top all the way to the greatest security at the bottom. And so we got derivatives, private business, and commodities. We got securities, debt. We got what's that? Listed stocks. We got government bonds. We got bank money, and then bank money, base money, and then at the point we got gold. But then what's not on here is the idea that at the very peak of this triangle, if it was possible, you'll see a sliver of silver. And that, my friends, is the greatest trade of all time or place to be because it is the people's money. And so definitely it's returning to that position. So definitely hope you got your position with that metal there. Okay, let me share with some other things here. So I want to share with you two things primarily. Arthur Hayes did a video presentation, and he's been very accurate with his forecast to date, but he got Bitcoin eyes 250K as Arthur Hayes links rally to Trump Fed takeover. So literally, he's talking about the idea of Donald Trump's rhetoric on Jerome Powell and how there eventually will be a takeover or a merger where they have to partner together for the sake of flooding the world. So, give you an idea here, it says BitMEX CEO co-founder Arthur Hayes believes Bitcoin could double by the end of 2025 if Donald Trump succeeds in a Trump-Fed takeover that reshapes U.S. monetary policy. Speaking in a recent interview with the Roll-Up, Hayes outlined how political and financial changes under a Trump administration could set off a wave of money printing, liquidity, and asset inflation that favors Bitcoin. It says here, quote, "I think we could double going into the end of the year," Hayes said, reaffirming the $250,000 price target. While he admitted that the short-term moves are hard to predict, his thesis rests on how quickly Trump can install loyal appointees at key positions with the Federal Reserve and other financial agencies before the 2026 elections. And so that alone lets us know that between now and then, he's going to want a lot of favorable momentum amongst his constituents as well as the populace to remain Republican. And so he's going to literally come out and say, look at your portfolio, look at your crypto portfolio. We have now made crypto this and that. I do believe that there will be an easing on either capital gains tax or on just tax in general when it comes to spending a certain threshold of crypto, i.e., I'm thinking like stimulus check style, 1,200, 1,400 of crypto that you can spend without having to report, because that'll be a way to inject and boost confidence, and it'll allow a lot of people to unlock a lot of unrealized value that they have in their portfolio. So be on the lookout for that one. And so that'd be a great time to take that 1,000, 1,400, whatever it might be. It's going to be something small. It's going to be pennies because they don't want people to go out here and buy Lambos and things of that nature tax free, because they still want their cut. They're going to need their cut, even though their cut is irrelevant because we're already running deficits and they're going to print like wazoo. But taxation is all about making sure they keep the people in check, and that's why they'll give you a little bit of leeway. But with that 12, 1,400, drop a comment and let me know what you would spend that on. Would it be something as far as necessities, a trip, or would it be a recycling of those funds into something else that could also benefit you as well? I personally, depending on if that was to come to pass, depending on where we're at in this whole reset that we're in, if silver is still above its or around its price target between 50 to 75 in the next couple of weeks or a month or so, I definitely would just relocate that back into silver and just keep that cycle going on my end. So that'd be my thoughts. But let me know what you think. And what's really going to be an indicator as to where all this heads up is which one will be the first public announcement from a central bank that they're going to actually get involved in the Bitcoin game. So here we got from Deutsche Bank. Central bank will end up holding Bitcoin in their reserves, even though it is backed by nothing, Deutsche Bank predicts. And so this is as a play on Christine Lagarde's words just recently when she was asked about her stance on Bitcoin. She said it's still not backed by anything, just like stable coins, just like fiat currencies. But we know that this is all a part of their game because Bitcoin was created for a window of time between the start of the reset and the end of the reset for wealth transfer from the hands of the very few into the hands of the uber wealthy that then will allow them to get out and get into tangible assets once, I believe, around 2030-ish plus, when we're fully in a reset and everything looks completely new. Then there'll be some type of issue, glitch, or exposure of the back door that could be associated with the Bitcoin protocol. So literally, it is a destination place, not an end all be all. So it says the price of Bitcoin briefly topped 125,000 yesterday, new record high. As its price goes up, its relative volatility declines. A new analyst by Deutsche Bank argues, says the factor. Let me just zoom in so I can read a little bit better. It says the factor is making Bitcoin more like gold as an asset that has a fixed supply and a low price correlation with other assets. And that in turn increasingly makes Bitcoin an candidate to be added to central bank reserve assets, according to Deutsche Bank's Marion Laborn and Camilla Sivian. It quotes them as saying a strategic Bitcoin allocation could emerge as a modern cornerstone of financial security, echoing gold's role in the 20th century. Assessing volatility, liquidity, strategic value, and trust, we find that both assets will likely feature on central banks' balance sheets by 2030, they said in a research slide deck. And so here you can see gold and Bitcoin literally mirroring each other, going back, of course, 2012, and you got 2014 for Bitcoin, because prior to that, it wasn't really, that well known. But literally, since we've been in the QT phase, which happens to have been from the 2013 up until the 2018-19 time frame, where liquidity was being withdrawn from the system, we've seen the introduction of a new asset class and the decline in value of a legendary legacy asset, which is real money. And so, literally, the price suppression of gold allowed for the quietness that eventually gave Bitcoin its claim to fame and its rise, as it went from a disrupt the banks to a digital gold to now it is a capital asset that everybody must have on their corporate balance sheet type of narrative. But then again, all of this is spurred on by a lack of confidence in the system and the increase of liquidity. So literally, since this time frame here, especially around 2020, where we all know what happened, when you flood the world with trillions and trillions of dollars, that got to go somewhere, and clearly it's gone to gold and to Bitcoin. And so those are going to be the preferred mediums that the regulatory bodies would love to focus on, while a little bit of retail dwindling into gold, and of course silver. In my opinion, silver is the best place to be, because you have more potential upside as we get closer to a more realistic gold to silver ratio. Because as of right now, it's still 80-1, but we all know gold and silver comes out of the ground at 7-1, 1-7. And so literally, if we were to get somewhere near that, that means, you got 4,000 gold, $50 silver. You got to be a lot closer for that to actually make sense. And that puts us definitely in eventually triple digit range for silver. So right now, silver is just way more affordable for the average person. So that's why it's something worth getting a hold of. So these are some things that are trending right now. Thought I would bring it to you. And as always, for those who want to take advantage of opportunities, I want to encourage you to get physical. Get physical. And the best way to do that is literally buygoldnotes.com, the cheapest form of gold a person can hold in something that you can either barter, you can spend, or you can save, and you will not lose purchasing power, in my opinion, because once again, 24 karat gold, it's only going to go up because these things here are going to go down. So go to Buy Gold Notes, get yourself some if you're interested. Definitely will do yourself wonders. And also, for those who want affordable, even more affordable, I would encourage you now to go to mini bars. So here you see 1/4 grain, 24 karat bars. They only cost literally less than about $10 or so. But then again, that $10 will be preserved. It's like putting it on ice, so that as gold go up, that 10 will definitely go to 11, 12, 13, 14. So you're actually appreciating more purchasing power in your hands by holding this little mini bar here. So definitely get yourself some. Links in the description. Go to mini bar gold, minigoldbars.com, and get yourself some there. And then last, for those that want to participate in the wealth cycle, Quicksilver, great way to become an affiliate marketer as well as a business distributor of silver directly. So you can automate your silver monthly. And as you can see here, people are literally just buying 1 to 2 ounces a month, but over time, it turns into a savings. So this is a very affordable way to save and create a business model around it where you can actually take your information, get linked to a store, and then share your information with other people so they too can get physical. So if you guys are interested in joining me there, I would definitely love to work with you. As you can see here, just go to mysilverteam.com, check it out, and I definitely love working with you and helping you to stack and help others stack, which will be a great business model because people will definitely be running a silver soon, and it's good for you to be the entry point into which they run towards. So just my 2 cents there. But as always, thanks for blessing me with your presence. If you found value, hit that thumbs up, drop a comment down below. Let me know what you're thinking, what you're going to put your crypto stimulus towards, and I'll definitely catch you guys later.